Well, the Treasury Department is starting to take, quote, extraordinary measures to avoid default after the federal government exceeded its $31.4 trillion borrowing limit. Yesterday, the move now gives lawmakers and the Biden administration about 5 months to pass legislation to raise or suspend the debt ceiling. Joining me now, New York Congressman, House Homeland Security Committee House member, and House Small Business Committee member, Andrew Garbarino. Congressman, good morning. Some of your colleagues in the House say they oppose raising the debt ceiling unless Democrats agree to cut federal spending. In particular, Kevin Hern of Oklahoma, he's one of your colleagues. He's even going so far as to call out the National Press Corps for putting out this hysterical headline that the nation's in crisis, it's this big emergency. He says it is not, and we've got to start to have a conversation about fiscal responsibility.
Well, yeah, I think Kevin is somewhat right. I think, Secretary Yellen and with the help of the press corps, they are turning this into a problem before it is. We understand that the debt ceiling is going to be hit, but now all of a sudden, 2 weeks into a Republican majority in the House, now we're hitting the limit. Republicans aren't against lifting the debt ceiling. Republicans don't want us, the country, to default on the debt, but they are not just going to write a blank check. The Democrats over the last 2 years have spent trillions more than we have received, and we're just not going to allow them to continue to do it. So they need to, stop with this charade and start negotiating with Kevin McCarthy about doing a smart debt limit increase while also cutting certain spending.
It's interesting, too, because even in the financial press, you see this, well, the markets are going to be in such turmoil. The markets are going to be, thrown off the rails. I'm not so sure, but I'm going to bring in Mike Lee. He's on set with me, and he's got a question for you as well. Mike, go ahead.
This notion that we would somehow default on our debt or stop paying Social Security and Medicare, the math doesn't really add up, does it? Because trillions of dollars are going to come in, but the problem is for every dollar that comes in, they want to spend $1.10 or $1.20, and so it's just a simple matter of prioritization until this can be resolved. Why do you think the Democrats are so resistant to even negotiating a little bit, and their starting point is that we will not negotiate on the debt ceiling at all?
Because they're hoping they can get whatever they want. They're hoping by painting us make us look like obstructionists is going to help them get whatever they want. But after our historic speaker vote, I believe we have a very unified Republican conference. Like I said, our conference position is no blank check. So the Democrats are going to have to realize that we're very serious about this and that they need to start negotiating sooner rather than later if they actually expect to get this done on time.
All right, Lee Carter, go ahead.
So Senator Warren, who is often, sort of extreme in her views, tweeted yesterday, House Republicans want a national 30% sales tax on everything, groceries to gasoline. They want to raise taxes on working class and middle class families while slashing them for millionaires and billionaires. Are they trying to show exactly how touched they are? How do you respond to her when she puts something like this out there? How do you respond to this?
Well, it's people pick a lot of members of Congress put in bills and they paint the picture. Oh, this is what the Republicans want. This is what their party wants. I don't believe that bill has any chance of passing Congress. Nobody wants to institute a 30% sales tax on food or house purchases. But of course, this is what they do. There's a lot of fear mongering going. They say the Republicans are the boogeyman, and they tried, instead of coming up with actual issues that are going to help America, actual issues and ideas that are going to stop us from spending and hitting our debt limit, they just point at us and say, hey, look, they're the boogeyman. They're trying to scare you into backing Democrats, and that's just not going to work. We're going to keep pushing forward with our campaign promises, the campaign promises that got us the House of Representatives, and they're going to have to decide whether they want to work to help us solve the problems of America or just continue to throw things at us and say, hey, these guys are the boogeyman.
Enough. We're going to move on, but I got to say, enough with the spending. It has caused inflation to run rampant in this country, and enough is enough. That's what the markets are reacting to. They're not worried about the debt ceiling, and that's just my opinion. I want to move on to this. Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas claims that border encounters are dropping because of the Biden administration's immigration policies. Listen to what he says. I want to get your reaction here.
Weeks ago, we announced new lawful pathways for non-citizens seeking relief in the United States, accompanied by a consequence regime for those who do not avail themselves of those processes. Since then, encounters from the targeted countries have dropped significantly.
By the way, House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer wants border officials to testify in a hearing. He says that needs to happen earlier next month. What do you say, Congressman, to that?
Well, I've sat on the Homeland Security Committee for the last 2 years, and Secretary Mayorkas has been in front of us and repeatedly has lied to us in those hearings about the security at the border and what's been going on down there. So what he's saying now, I don't really believe is truthful. The numbers that we've seen from Border Patrol, the last numbers of record, which are from November, have shown record migrant encounters, record getaways, and record fentanyl being seized. So I don't know how we go from a record in November to significant decreases by now, and he has nothing to show for it. He hasn't given us any numbers. He hasn't shown us any proof. So I'm not going to believe what he's saying now just because Republicans are in control of the House, and we're about to start having hearings at the border, bipartisan hearings, by the way, both with Oversight and the Homeland Security Committee.
Well, look, we're going to run, but I have to tell you, Congressman, you're in this state, as am I, when you've got the mayor of New York City saying that something needs to be done about the border, and here's a six-point plan to fix the border. I think that says a lot about where the party is, and that this really is a part of the mainstream conversation finally now. New York Congressman Andrew Garbarino, thank you, sir.